Please, she whispers, her fingers trembling as she grabs the sleeve of the man beside her. Just pretend. For 10 minutes. He'll leave if he thinks I'm with someone. The man turns, and Faye's breath catches. She's seen beautiful men before, worked alongside them during her brief stint at the upscale restaurants downtown before her mother got sick. But this one is different. His eyes are almost silver in the low light of the gallery, his features sharp enough to cut. He's wearing a suit that probably costs more than her rent, and there's something about the way he holds himself that makes her want to step back and lean closer all at the same time. Your husband? His voice is quiet, cultured, with an accent she can't quite place. No, God, no, my ex. Faye glances over her shoulder. Brett is pushing through the crowd, his face already red with that familiar anger. He's been following me. Tonight he said if I didn't come back to him, he'd make sure I regretted it. The stranger's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in those pale eyes. Something cold. And you thought a stranger would help you? I'm desperate. Her voice breaks. Please, I don't have anyone else. Brett is 20 feet away now. Faye can see the familiar clench of his jaw, the way his hands are already forming fists. She knows what comes next. The scene, the accusations, the way he'll make sure everyone sees her as the problem. He's done it before. At her workplace, at the grocery store, anywhere he can find her. The stranger tilts his head slightly, studying her face. Then, without warning, his hand comes up to cup her cheek. His skin is cool against hers, unusually cool, and Faye almost jerks away before she remembers what she's asking for. Look at me, he says softly. She does. Up close, his eyes are even stranger. They catch the light like mirrors, like there's something luminous behind them. Do you trust me? I don't even know your name. His mouth curves slightly, not quite a smile. Nathaniel, and I didn't ask if you knew me. I asked if you trust me. Faye's heart hammers against her ribs. Brett is 10 feet away. Yes, she breathes. Nathaniel's other hand moves so quickly she almost doesn't see it. There's a flash of gold, a sensation of something cool sliding onto her left ring finger, and then he's pulling her against him with one arm while his free hand comes up to tilt her chin. Darling, he says, loud enough for Brett to hear. I was beginning to think you'd gotten lost. The ring on her finger is heavy. Faye can feel it even through her shock, can feel the way it seems to warm against her skin despite Nathaniel's cool touch. Faye. Brett's voice cuts through the murmur of the gallery. What the hell is this? She turns and Nathaniel's arm stays around her waist. Possessive. Protective. Brett has stopped 3 feet away, his face cycling between red and pale. Who the fuck is this? Brett demands. Nathaniel's arm tightens fractionally. When he speaks, his voice is pleasant, almost friendly. But Faye feels the way his body has gone absolutely still beside her, like a predator deciding whether to pounce. I'm her husband, Nathaniel says. And you are? The word husband lands like a bomb. Brett's mouth opens, closes. His eyes drop to Faye's hand, to the ring that's now sitting on her finger, and something ugly crosses his face. That's bullshit. Faye doesn't have a husband. Faye doesn't have anyone. She's a fucking waitress who can barely... Choose your next words very carefully. Nathaniel's voice hasn't changed in volume, but something about it makes the hair on Faye's arms stand up, makes the people nearest to them take an unconscious step back. You're speaking about my wife. Brett laughs, but it sounds forced. Your wife? Please. I dated this girl for 2 years. She's nobody. She's got nothing. No family, no money, no prospects. Whatever she told you, she told me nothing. Nathaniel's thumb moves in a small circle against Faye's hip, the gesture somehow both comforting and claiming. She didn't need to. I know exactly who my wife is. Faye stares at the floor, her cheeks burning. Every word Brett says is true. She is nobody. She does have nothing. Her mother died 6 months ago, leaving her with nothing but medical debt and a studio apartment in the worst part of town. She works double shifts at Rosie's diner just to keep the lights on. She's only at this gallery tonight because her coworker Simone got free tickets and didn't want to go alone. Let me tell you who she is, Brett continues, emboldened by Faye's silence. She's a broke, pathetic... Nathaniel moves. One moment he's beside Faye, the next he's in front of Brett, so close that Brett stumbles backward. Nathaniel hasn't raised his voice, hasn't even touched him. But Brett's face has gone sheet white. Leave, Nathaniel says quietly. Now. And if I ever see you near my wife again, we will have a very different conversation. One you won't enjoy. You can't. I can. 2 words, soft as silk. Test me if you'd like. Brett looks at Faye. She sees the moment he realizes he's lost, sees the fury and humiliation flood his features. Then he turns and pushes back through the crowd, shouldering past people who are all pretending not to watch. The silence that follows feels enormous. Nathaniel returns to Faye's side, and only then does she realize she's shaking. Her whole body is trembling like she stood outside in winter for too long. Breathe, Nathaniel says. His hand finds hers, and she feels that coolness again, that strange sensation of his skin against hers. You're safe. I'm sorry. The words tumble out. God, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have. You don't even know me, and You asked for help. I provided it. He glances down at their joined hands, at the ring on her finger. Though I seem to have gotten ahead of myself. Faye follows his gaze. The ring is extraordinary. Gold inlaid with some dark metal she doesn't recognize, set with a stone that seems to shift between deep red and black, depending on how the light hits it. It looks old, expensive, completely wrong on her waitress rough hands. I can't, this is too much. You have to take it back. It was my mother's, Nathaniel says, and it stays where it is. I don't understand. He studies her for a long moment. Around them, the gallery has returned to its normal hum of conversation, but Faye can feel eyes on them, can feel people watching, whispering. How long has he been following you? Nathaniel asks. The question catches her off guard. 3 months, since I broke up with him. And tonight he threatened you? Faye nods slowly. He said he'd make sure I lost my job, that he'd tell everyone what I really was, that no one would want me after he was done. She laughs, but it comes out shaky. I don't even know what that means. I'm already nobody. You keep saying that word. Because it's true. Nathaniel's thumb brushes across her knuckles, across the ring. No, he says. It isn't. Before Faye can respond, a woman approaches them. She's older, probably in her 60s, wearing enough diamonds to finance a small country. Her gaze moves between Nathaniel and Faye with sharp interest. Nathaniel Graves, she says, and there's something in her voice. Deference mixed with genuine affection. I thought you were avoiding public events these days. I make exceptions, Nathaniel says. Genevieve, this is my wife, Faye. Faye Genevieve Ashford. She owns the gallery. The word wife hits Faye like a second shock. Genevieve's eyebrows rise, and her gaze drops immediately to Faye's hand, to the ring. Your wife, Genevieve repeats slowly. How absolutely delightful. And here I thought you'd never marry. She extends her hand to Faye. My dear, you must tell me everything. How did you two meet? When was the wedding? Faye opens her mouth, closes it. She has no idea what to say. But Nathaniel's hand tightens on hers, grounding her. Recently, Nathaniel says smoothly, we prefer to keep our private life private. Of course. But Genevieve is smiling, clearly delighted by this gossip. Well, you must both come to my summer house next month. I insist. I want to get to know the woman who finally caught Nathaniel Graves. She leans closer to Faye, conspiratorial. He turned down a duchess, you know, and 3 heiresses. One of them cried for a week. Genevieve, Nathaniel says, but there's fondness in his voice. I'm simply saying, my dear, that you must be extraordinary. Genevieve pats Faye's hand. Now I must go attend to my other guests, but we will speak more later. Enjoy the exhibition. She sweeps away in a cloud of perfume and silk, leaving Faye staring after her. Did she just say Duchess? Faye whispers. Genevieve exaggerates. Does she? Because that ring on my finger looks like something a duchess would wear, and that suit you're wearing probably costs more than I make in 6 months. Faye pulls her hand free, takes a step back. Who are you? Nathaniel regards her steadily. Someone who dislikes men like your ex-boyfriend. That's not an answer. It's the only one I'm giving you tonight. He gestures to the paintings around them. Have you seen the exhibition yet? Faye laughs disbelievingly. You just told a stranger I'm your wife, gave me what looks like a priceless ring, and now you want to look at art? Yes. The simple response throws her. She studies his face, looking for some sign that this is a joke, a game, something she should run from. But his expression is serious, those strange silver eyes steady on hers. I don't understand what's happening, she says quietly. You needed help. I helped. Nathaniel extends his hand again. Now you can leave if you'd like. Walk out of here, never see me again. Or you can stay. Look at art with a stranger who apparently has excellent taste in wives. It's the small smile that does it, the tiny quirk of his mouth that makes him look less like a statue and more like a person. Faye takes his hand. They move through the gallery slowly. Nathaniel talks about the paintings with the ease of someone who actually understands art, pointing out techniques and historical context that Faye never learned. She tries to focus on his words, but she keeps getting distracted by small things. The way his jacket fits across his shoulders. The way he tilts his head when he's considering a painting. The fact that his skin never seems to warm, even though they've been walking for 20 minutes and the gallery is stuffy with bodies and champagne. You're staring, he says without looking at her. Sorry. I'm trying to figure you out. And? You're very strange. Now he does look at her, and there's amusement in his expression. Strange how? You're too cold. Your skin, I mean. And your eyes do this thing where they reflect light, like an animal's. And you move really fast. I saw you when you went after Brett. 1 second you were next to me, the next you were in his face. Faye pauses. And you don't seem to be breathing very much. The amusement fades. Nathaniel's expression becomes carefully neutral. You're observant. I work in a diner. You learn to read people. Faye stops walking, turns to face him fully. So, what are you? Because you're definitely not normal. For a long moment, Nathaniel doesn't respond. Around them, the gallery continues its elegant circulation, people sipping champagne, admiring art, discussing the pieces in hushed, cultured tones. But in their small bubble, there's only silence and the weight of Faye's question. Would you believe me if I told you? He asks finally. Probably not, but try me anyway. I'm very old, Faye. Older than this building, older than this city. I don't eat food the way you do. I don't sleep the way you do. And yes, I don't breathe the way you do. His gaze holds hers. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Her heart rate picks up. She should be scared, should be running, but instead she feels strangely calm, like some part of her already knew. Vampire, she says. Not a question. Yes. That's okay. Sure. Why not? She laughs and it comes out slightly hysterical. Today has already been insane. Might as well add vampires to the list. You're taking this remarkably well. I'm really not. I'm just very good at pretending. Faye looks down at the ring on her finger, at the stone that seems to pulse with its own inner light. Is this magic, or something? In a manner of speaking, it's a protection. Nathaniel touches the ring gently, his finger barely brushing the stone. Anyone with sense will know what it means. That you're under my protection. That harming you would be unwise. Because you're what? Some kind of vampire royalty? Something like that. Faye processes this. The thing Genevieve said. About the Duchess and the heiresses. They were all human, weren't they? And you turned them down. Yes, but you're pretending to marry me, a waitress with nothing. You're not nothing. Nathaniel's voice sharpens. Don't let your ex-boyfriend's poison define you. I'm not. I'm being realistic. Look at me. Faye gestures to her dress, a simple black number she found at a thrift store, already starting to fray at the hem. Look at where I come from. Brett was right about all of it. I'm broke. I'm nobody. I spent the last year watching my mother die by inches because I couldn't afford better treatment. I live in a place where I can hear my neighbors fighting through the walls. I eat ramen for dinner most nights because meat is too expensive. She meets his eyes. So why me? Why help me? Why give me this ring? Nathaniel is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is soft. My mother was human, he says. She was a servant in a great house. Nobody, by your definition. The vampire lord who owned the house took her as his wife, gave her a ring exactly like the one you're wearing, and made sure everyone knew that she was to be treated as his equal. She was nobody, and then she was everything. He touches the ring again. When she died, I kept this, waiting for someone who reminded me of her courage. Courage? I grabbed a stranger and begged. You asked for help when you needed it. You recognized danger and took action. You didn't let pride or fear stop you. Nathaniel's slight smile returns. That's courage, Faye. Tears prick at her eyes. She blinks them back, refusing to cry in this gallery full of wealthy strangers. So what happens now? She asks. You can't actually be married to me. No, but I can pretend to be, if you'd like, until your ex-boyfriend gets the message and leaves you alone. Why would you do that? Because I dislike bullies. Because you remind me of someone I loved. Because, he pauses, considering. Because I'm curious about you. Curious how? You looked at me and immediately started cataloging my strangeness instead of running. You accepted what I am without hysterics. And now you're standing here negotiating with a vampire instead of making excuses to leave. His head tilts. Most humans aren't like that. Most humans haven't spent the last year learning that the world is crueler than they thought, Faye says. Vampires are honestly less scary than medical debt collectors. This makes Nathaniel laugh, a real laugh, not just a smile. The sound is startling and warm, and it makes several nearby people turn to stare. I like you, he says simply. You don't know me. I'd like to, if you'll let me. Faye looks around the gallery. At the beautiful people in their beautiful clothes, sipping their champagne and discussing art she'll never afford. At Genevieve holding court by a sculpture, already telling someone about Nathaniel's mysterious new wife. At the space where Brett stood, now empty, but still somehow menacing. Okay, she says, but I have conditions. Name them. First, you have to tell me the truth. About what you are, how this works, all of it. No more vague vampire mystique. Agreed. Second, this ends when Brett backs off. I'm not going to keep pretending to be your wife forever. That's weird and complicated, and probably a really bad idea. Probably, Nathaniel agrees, but agreed. Third, Faye hesitates. You have to promise you won't hurt him. Brett, I mean. He's a jerk and a stalker, but I don't want him dead or anything. Nathaniel's expression hardens slightly. I make no promises about his well-being if he continues to threaten you. Nathaniel? The best I can offer is that I won't kill him unless he gives me no choice. Will that suffice? It should scare her, how casually he talks about killing. It doesn't. Fine, Faye says. Then we have a deal. They shake on it, his cool hand wrapped around her warm one, the ring heavy between them. Around them, the gallery glitters and murmurs, full of people who have no idea they're watching a waitress make a bargain with a vampire. Genevieve appears again just as they're leaving, pressing a business card into Faye's hand. For the summer house, she says. I expect you both there. And Faye, dear, welcome to the family. Outside, The night air is cool and sharp after the stuffy gallery. Faye's borrowed heels click on the sidewalk, and she's intensely aware of Nathaniel beside her, moving with that strange, fluid grace. "I need to tell Simone I'm leaving," she says. "She's my ride." "I'll take you home." "You don't have to." "Faye." He stops, turns to face her. "We're married, remember? At least for tonight. Let me take my wife home." The word wife sends a strange thrill through her. She nods. Nathaniel's car turns out to be exactly what she expects. Something sleek and black and expensive that probably has a name she can't pronounce. He opens the door for her, and she slides into leather seats that smell like money. They drive in silence for a few blocks before Faye speaks. "You said your mother was human. What about your father?" "Vampire? One of the old ones? He turned her when she was dying, so they could stay together." Nathaniel's eyes don't leave the road. "She lived 300 years as one of us before she chose to end it." "Chose?" "Vampires can die if they wish to. We're hard to kill by accident, but will alone can do it. She said she was tired, that she'd lived enough lifetimes for anyone." He's quiet for a moment. "I've worn her ring for 200 years, waiting to find someone worthy of it. And you think I'm worthy? You met me 20 minutes ago. 37 minutes. And yes." Faye doesn't know what to say to that. She looks out the window instead, watching the city blur past. They're heading toward her neighborhood now. She recognizes the signs, the way the buildings get shorter and shabbier, the way the streetlights start to flicker. "Here," she says finally, pointing to her building. It looks even worse than usual next to Nathaniel's car, peeling paint, broken window on the second floor, graffiti by the entrance. Nathaniel parks, but doesn't turn off the engine. "May I walk you up?" "You really don't have to. Faye." She relents. They cross the sad little lobby together, ride the ancient elevator to the 4th floor. Faye's studio is at the end of the hall, and she fumbles with her keys, hyper-aware of how close Nathaniel is standing. "This is me," she says unnecessarily. "Thank you for an interesting evening." "I should be thanking you. You saved me from Brett." "We saved each other, I think." Nathaniel reaches out, takes her hand, the one with his mother's ring. "Keep this. Whether we continue this arrangement or not, keep it. It will protect you." "I can't." "Yes, you can. Please." His thumb brushes over her knuckles. "It would give me peace of mind." Faye knows she should refuse, should give back the priceless ring and the ridiculous story, and go back to her regular life of double shifts and ramen. But something in Nathaniel's eyes stops her. "Okay," she whispers. He smiles then, a real smile that transforms his whole face. "Good. I'll call you tomorrow. We should discuss the details of our arrangement." "I didn't give you my number. The ring is magic, remember?" At her startled look, he laughs. "I'm joking. Genevieve will give it to me. She's incorrigibly nosy. You have strange friends." "I have a strange life." Nathaniel releases her hand slowly. "Sleep well, Faye." She watches him walk back to the elevator, watches the doors close on his elegant figure. Only then does she go inside, locking her door and leaning against it. The ring on her finger catches the light from her cheap lamp. Faye holds it up, watching the stone shift colors. "What did I just do?" she asks the empty room. The ring, of course, doesn't answer. Nathaniel calls the next morning while Faye is getting ready for her shift at Rosie's. His name appears on her phone screen, even though she never gave him her number, which should be creepy, but somehow isn't. "Good morning," he says when she answers. "Did you sleep?" "Barely. I kept thinking I'd dreamed the whole thing." "And the ring? Still there?" Faye looks at her hand. The ring gleams in the morning light, impossible to ignore. "Still here, though I should probably take it off for work. It doesn't exactly match the waitress aesthetic." "Leave it on, please." Something in his voice makes her pause. "Why?" "Because I need people to know you're protected. Word travels fast in certain circles." He pauses. Your ex-boyfriend works in finance, correct? How did you... I made some calls this morning. Brett Morrison, junior analyst at Whitmore and Associates, reputation for drinking too much and harassing women. His supervisor doesn't like him, but his father is a client, so they keep him employed. Nathaniel's voice is pleasant, conversational. I own Whitmore and Associates, Faye. As of 2 hours ago. Faye sits down hard on her bed. You what? Purchased a controlling interest. It was a good investment. They've been undervalued for months. As my first act as majority shareholder, I'll be reviewing all personnel, starting with junior analysts who harass their ex-girlfriends. Nathaniel, you didn't have to buy a company just to... I didn't. I bought it because it was a sound investment. The fact that your ex-boyfriend works there is simply convenient. She can hear the smile in his voice. He won't bother you anymore, Faye. I'll make certain of it. This is insane. This is business. And protection. He pauses. When is your shift? I start at 10. Why? I'd like to take you to dinner afterward. Somewhere nice. We should be seen together. Establish the narrative. The narrative that we're married? Yes. The more people who believe it, the safer you are. Faye looks around her tiny studio, at the ancient fridge that hums too loud, at the cracks in the ceiling she's learned to ignore, at the stack of medical bills on her counter that never seems to shrink. What's the catch? She asks quietly. Nobody does this out of kindness. What do you really want? Nathaniel is silent for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is softer. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. I told you, you reminded me of my mother. But it's more than that. He pauses. I'm very old, Faye. I've lived so many years that they blur together. The same parties, the same conversations, the same endless parade of people who want something from me. And then you looked at me last night and asked me what I was like. It was the most natural question in the world. Like I was a puzzle to solve instead of a monster to fear. I found that refreshing. So this is what, entertainment for a bored vampire? No. This is me wanting to know someone who sees me as strange instead of terrifying. Someone who negotiates with me instead of simpering or running. His voice warms slightly. And perhaps wanting to help someone who deserves better than medical debt and a stalker ex-boyfriend. Despite herself, Faye smiles. You're very weird. So you've mentioned. Is that a yes to dinner? I get off at 6. I'll smell like grease and desperation. I'll pick you up at 7. That gives you an hour to go home and change. Into what? I don't own anything nice enough for wherever you're planning to take me. There will be a package at your door when you get home. Consider it a gift from your husband. Nathaniel? Humor me, please. I want to see you in something other than a thrift store dress. Before she can protest, he adds, Not that you didn't look beautiful last night, but I think you deserve silk and cashmere and all the things you've been denying yourself. Faye's throat tightens. You don't have to do this. I know. I want to. There's a difference. He pauses. 7 o'clock, Faye. Don't make me come find you. He hangs up before she can respond, leaving her staring at her phone and the impossible ring on her finger. The shift at Rosie's is brutal. Saturday lunch rush means every table is full, every customer is impatient, and the kitchen is backed up by 30 minutes. Faye runs herself ragged bringing orders, refilling coffee, smiling through the casual rudeness that comes with serving people who see her as furniture. The ring draws attention. That's quite a rock, one of the regulars says, grabbing her hand as she sets down his burger. Your boyfriend finally propose? Husband. Actually, Faye says, gently extracting her hand. The word feels strange in her mouth. Foreign, but also kind of nice. Husband. Well, congratulations. Lucky guy. By the 3rd hour, every regular has heard about the wedding that didn't happen, the husband who doesn't exist, the marriage that's really just a vampire's protective custody agreement. Faye's coworker, Maria, corners her by the coffee station. Spill, Maria demands. When did you get married? Why didn't you tell anyone? It's recent, very recent. How recent? Like yesterday recent. Maria's eyes go wide. You eloped? Oh my God, Faye. With who? His name is Nathaniel. I met him at that gallery event. The one you went to last night? You met him yesterday and married him? Maria grabs her hand, examining the ring. Holy hell, this thing is real, isn't it? Look at the size of that stone. What does he do? He's in finance, or real estate, or both, I think. Faye realizes she has no idea what Nathaniel actually does beyond being old and rich and vampire. It's complicated. Complicated rich, apparently. Maria releases her hand, her expression torn between excitement and concern. Faye, are you okay? This is really fast, even for you. I'm fine. Really, he's strange, old, vampire. Wonderful. Maria doesn't look convinced, but the bell dings with new orders, and the moment passes. Faye makes it through the rest of her shift on autopilot, her mind spinning with everything that's happened. By 6 o'clock, she's exhausted and covered in coffee stains and grease splatter. She changes in the bathroom, stuffing her uniform into her bag, and heads home. The package is waiting by her door, exactly as Nathaniel promised. Inside the elegant black box, she finds a dress that makes her breath catch. Midnight blue silk that flows like water, simple but clearly expensive. There are shoes, too, heels that actually fit her feet, and a small card in handwriting she doesn't recognize. For my wife. Anne Faye runs her fingers over the silk, feeling the quality of it. She's never owned anything this nice. Never even touched anything this nice outside of a store. She showers quickly, trying to scrub away the diner smell, and slips into the dress. It fits perfectly, like it was made for her. The woman in the mirror looks like a stranger. Elegant, polished, like someone who belongs in Nathaniel's world. The buzzer rings at exactly 7. Faye takes a deep breath, grabs the small purse that came with the dress, and heads downstairs. Nathaniel is waiting by his car, and the sight of him makes her stomach flip. He's wearing another perfect suit, his dark hair slightly mussed like he ran his hand through it. When he sees her, his expression transforms. You're stunning, he says simply. The dress helps. The dress is just fabric. You're what makes it beautiful. He opens the car door for her. Ready? Where are we going? Somewhere we'll be seen. The restaurant is the kind of place Faye has only glimpsed through windows, all soft lighting and white tablecloths, and waiters who move like dancers. The host takes one look at Nathaniel and ushers them to a table by the window, the best seat in the house. Mr. Graves, the host says, wonderful to see you again, and this must be my wife, Faye. The word sends a ripple through the nearby tables. Faye sees heads turn, hears the whispers start. Apparently, Nathaniel Graves getting married is news. They sit, and Nathaniel orders wine without looking at the menu. The waiter brings it quickly, pouring with the kind of reverence usually reserved for religious ceremonies. You come here often? Faye asks. Often enough. The owner is a friend. Another vampire? Yes, she's been running this place for 40 years under various names. The food is excellent, and she's discreet. Nathaniel raises his glass. To strange marriages and stranger evenings. Faye clinks her glass against his. The wine is incredible, smooth and rich and nothing like the cheap stuff she's tried before. So, she says, tell me about being a vampire. The real version, not the vague, mystique version. Nathaniel smiles. What do you want to know? Everything. How old are you? What do you eat? Can you go out in sunlight? Do you sleep in a coffin? Can you turn into a bat? At his amused expression, she adds, I've only got movies to go on here. I'm 367. I drink blood, but not exclusively. I can eat normal food. I just don't get nutrition from it. Sunlight doesn't kill me, but it's uncomfortable. I sleep in a bed like a normal person. And no, I cannot turn into a bat, though I've met a few vampires who claim they can. You drink blood? From people? From willing donors, yes. Or blood banks. I don't kill for it, if that's what you're worried about. Faye processes this. Is that what the ring does? Makes me your Donor? No, the ring marks you as under my protection. As family, essentially. No vampire will touch you while you wear it, and most humans with knowledge of our world will know what it means. He pauses. Though if you wanted to be a donor, I wouldn't object. Heat floods Faye's cheeks. I'm teasing, mostly. Nathaniel's eyes glitter with amusement. You blush beautifully, did you know that? Stop. Never. Their food arrives, elaborate plates that look like art. Faye has no idea what half of it is, but it tastes incredible. She watches Nathaniel eat, fascinated by the normality of it. You said you don't get nutrition from food, she says. So why eat? Habit. Pleasure. Because food is one of the few things that still tastes good after 3 centuries. He cuts a piece of fish with precise movements. And because eating alone is depressing. Is that why you wanted dinner? So you wouldn't eat alone? Partly, and partly because I wanted to see you in that dress. And partly because he glances at his watch. 3 minutes. Someone very important is going to walk in and see us together. Who? A vampire called Helena Vance. She's old, powerful, and the biggest gossip in the city. If you want word of our marriage to spread, she's the one to tell. You planned this? I plan everything, Faye. That's how you survive for 300 years. Right on cue, the door opens. A woman enters, tall, imposing, with silver hair and the kind of beauty that makes people stare. She's scanning the restaurant when her gaze lands on their table, on Nathaniel, on Faye, on the ring. Her eyebrows rise. Then she's sweeping toward them, moving with that same fluid grace Nathaniel has. Nathaniel Graves, she says, her voice rich and amused. Imagine my surprise when Genevieve called to tell me you'd gotten married. I told her she was delusional. And yet, here you are, wearing that ridiculous besotted expression and sitting across from... She focuses on Faye properly. My dear, you must be either very brave or very foolish to have married this one. Faye, meet Helena Vance. Helena, my wife, Faye Graves. Hearing the full name, Faye Graves, sends a shock through her system. It sounds real, official. Helena's eyes drop to the ring and something flickers across her face. Surprise? Maybe respect. That's Marguerite's ring, she says quietly. Yes. I see. Helena pulls out the 3rd chair at their table without being invited, settling in like she owns the place. Tell me everything. How did you meet? When was the wedding? Why in God's name did you marry Nathaniel Graves when you could have had someone with a personality? Despite herself, Faye laughs. Nathaniel looks mildly offended. We met yesterday, Faye says, because apparently honesty is her default setting. At Genevieve's gallery. Yesterday. And you married him already? Helena's laugh is delighted. Oh, this is better than I could have hoped. A whirlwind romance. How positively scandalous. It's not like that. Of course it is. Look at you. You're blushing. He's watching you like you're the only person in the room, and you're wearing Marguerite's ring. That ring has sat in a vault for 200 years, darling. The fact that it's on your finger tells me everything I need to know. Faye glances at Nathaniel. He's watching her with that slight smile, clearly enjoying her discomfort. Helena, stop terrorizing my wife, he says mildly. I'm not terrorizing. I'm investigating. There's a difference. But Helena stands, smoothing her dress. Fine, I'll leave you 2 lovebirds alone. But Faye, dear, you must come to my house next week. I host a monthly gathering, and I want everyone to meet you. The newest Mrs. Graves. She winks. Wear something scandalous. Nathaniel could use the embarrassment. She sweeps away as dramatically as she arrived, leaving Faye staring after her. Is everyone in your life that intense? Faye asks. Only the vampires. And Genevieve. What did she mean about the ring? About it being in a vault? Nathaniel sets down his fork, his expression growing serious. I told you I'd been waiting for someone worthy. I meant it. That ring hasn't been worn since my mother died. Helena knows that. Everyone who knows me knows that. He reaches across the table, his cool fingers finding hers. Putting it on your finger wasn't a casual gesture, Faye. It was a declaration. Of what? That you matter. That I'm willing to protect you. That anyone who harms you will answer to me. His thumb brushes the ring. In our world, that means something. Faye's heart is racing. But this is just pretend. We're not really married. No, but the protection is real. The declaration is real. He holds her gaze. I told you I was curious about you. I'm beginning to think it's more than curiosity. Nathaniel? Let me finish. Please. He takes a breath he doesn't need. Old habits dying hard. I have lived a very long time. I've seen empires rise and fall. I've watched people I loved grow old and die. I've become very good at not feeling too much, at keeping everyone at a distance. And then you grabbed my sleeve in a gallery and asked me to pretend to be your husband, and something in me woke up. His voice softens. I don't know what this is, but I'd like to find out, if you're willing. Faye looks at their joined hands, at the ring that's somehow become familiar in just 24 hours, at this impossible man who bought a company to protect her and gave her his mother's ring and is looking at her like she's something precious. I'm a waitress, she says. I live in a studio with broken heating. I can't offer you anything. You offer me yourself. That's everything. The words hit her like a physical thing. Tears prick her eyes, and she blinks them back furiously. This is crazy, she whispers. Yes, do you want to stop? She should say yes. Should give back the ring and the dress, and go back to her normal life. But normal life has Brett and debt and endless double shifts with no end in sight. And this, whatever this is, feels like possibility. No, Faye says. I don't want to stop. Nathaniel's smile is brilliant. Good. Then let's continue being crazy together. They finish dinner, and Nathaniel drives her home. At her door, he walks her up again, that old-fashioned courtesy that should feel strange but doesn't. Tomorrow is Sunday, he says. Do you work? Not until the evening shift. Then have brunch with me. There's someone I'd like you to meet. Another vampire? My sister. She's going to be insufferable about this. But she deserves to know I've gotten married. Even though we're not really. Nathaniel stops her words with a finger against her lips. We're as real as we decide to be, Faye. Remember that. He leaves her at her door again, and Faye goes inside feeling like her whole world has tilted sideways. Sunday brunch happens at a cafe that's clearly vampire-owned. It's dim and cool and serves its coffee with a knowing smile. Nathaniel's sister turns out to be a petite woman named June, who takes one look at Faye and bursts out laughing. You actually did it, she says, grabbing Faye's hand to examine the ring. I thought Helena was drunk when she called. But here you are, wearing Mom's ring, married to my ridiculous brother. June, Nathaniel says warningly. What? I'm allowed to be shocked. You've been single for 200 years. You've turned down everyone from vampire royalty to human billionaires, and then you marry a... She looks at Faye properly. Sorry, what do you do? I'm a waitress. June's eyebrows shoot up. A waitress? That's amazing. Mom would have loved you. She slides into the booth next to Faye, forcing Nathaniel to sit across from them. Tell me everything. How did he propose? Was it romantic? Did he do that thing where he gets all intense and serious? We met yesterday, Faye says. Yesterday? June's laugh is delighted. Oh my God. Nathaniel, you met her yesterday and married her? You? Circumstances required quick action, Nathaniel says mildly. Circumstances. Right. June turns back to Faye. What really happened? So Faye tells her. About Brett. About grabbing Nathaniel's sleeve. About the ring appearing on her finger before she could think twice. June listens with growing glee. That's the most romantic thing I've ever heard, she says when Faye finishes. Swooping in to save you from your ex, claiming you in front of everyone, giving you Mom's ring. Nathaniel, you're like a character in one of those novels. I am not. You absolutely are. The mysterious vampire who rescues the damsel in distress. June grins at Faye. Has he bought you expensive things yet? He does that when he likes someone. He bought a company to get her ex-boyfriend fired, Nathaniel says. And a dress. He bought a company? June dissolves into laughter. Oh, this is too good. Faye, you have to keep him. Please. He's never done anything this impulsive in his entire life. June, you're embarrassing her. Good. You deserve to be embarrassed. Both of you. But June's expression softens. Seriously though, Faye, that ring means something. To our family. To our community. Nathaniel wouldn't have given it to you if he didn't mean it. So whether this marriage is real or pretend, or somewhere in between, know that he's choosing to protect you. That matters. Faye looks at Nathaniel across the table. He's watching her with that steady gaze, those strange silver eyes that see too much. I'm starting to understand that, she says quietly. They have brunch, and June tells stories about Nathaniel as a young vampire, the mistakes he made, the ridiculous phases he went through, the time he tried to become a painter and created the worst art anyone had ever seen. Nathaniel endures it with good grace, occasionally interjecting to correct details, and Faye laughs more than she has in months. When they part ways, June hugs her tight. Take care of him, she whispers. He acts like he doesn't need anyone, but he does. We all do. I will, Faye promises. The next week passes in a blur of work and Nathaniel. He shows up at the diner on her breaks, sits at the counter, and drinks coffee he doesn't need while she works. The other waitresses gossip endlessly about her mysterious rich husband who tips 40% and looks at her like she's made of starlight. Brett doesn't show up, doesn't call. On Thursday, Faye hears through a friend that he was fired from Whitmore and Associates for performance issues. She should feel bad about that. She doesn't. Nathaniel takes her to Helena's gathering, and Faye meets a whole community of vampires and humans who live in this strange in-between world. They treat her like she belongs, like the ring on her finger is all the introduction she needs. An older vampire named Thomas tells her stories about Nathaniel's mother, about how brave she was, how kind. Faye cries in the bathroom afterward, overwhelmed by the weight of what she's carrying. On Saturday, Nathaniel takes her shopping. Real shopping. At stores where the salespeople work on commission and everything costs more than her monthly rent. I can't afford this, Faye protests when he hands her a leather jacket to try on. Good thing you're not paying. Nathaniel leans against the dressing room door. You're married to a vampire with 300 years of accumulated wealth, Faye. Let me spend it on you. This is too much. This is nothing. Try on the jacket. She does. It fits perfectly, butter-soft leather that makes her feel dangerous and confident. When she steps out, Nathaniel's expression makes her breath catch. We're buying it, he says. They end up with bags and bags of clothes, things Faye would never have chosen for herself. Nathaniel has opinions on everything. The cut of a dress, the color of a blouse, whether the shoes are practical. He's surprisingly fun to shop with, making dry comments about the other customers and charming the salespeople effortlessly. Why are you doing all this? Faye asks when they stop for coffee. Because you deserve nice things. Because I like seeing you happy. Because... He pauses, considering. Because I'm courting you. Courting? Old-fashioned word, I know. But accurate. I'm courting my wife, trying to make this arrangement real instead of pretend. He reaches across the table, taking her hand. Is that all right? Faye's heart hammers. Yeah, she breathes. Yeah, that's all right. 2 weeks after the gallery, Faye gets called into her manager's office at the diner. We need to talk, Roger says, and his expression is serious. Brett Morrison filed a complaint against you. Faye's stomach drops. What? He claims you've been harassing him, calling him, sending messages, trying to get him fired from his job. Roger holds up a hand when Faye tries to speak. I know it's bullshit. Everyone knows. But his lawyer sent us a letter saying, if we don't terminate you, they'll sue the diner for creating a hostile environment. That's insane. I haven't contacted him once. I've been avoiding him. I believe you, But Faye, I can't fight a lawsuit. This place barely breaks even as it is. She understands what he's saying. She's being fired because Brett can't get to her directly, so he's going after her livelihood instead. When? She asks quietly. End of the week. I'm sorry, Faye. If I could... It's fine. I understand. She leaves the office in a daze, makes it through the rest of her shift on autopilot. Doesn't tell anyone what happened. By the time she gets home, she's numb. The phone rings at 8. Nathaniel. What's wrong? He asks immediately. I can hear it in your voice. I got fired. Brett filed a fake complaint, and the diner can't afford a lawsuit, so I'm done at the end of the week. Silence. Then, I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm already in the car. He arrives 15 minutes later, and Faye opens the door to find him looking genuinely angry for the first time. His eyes are brighter than usual, almost glowing. Tell me everything, he says. She does. Nathaniel listens without interrupting, his jaw getting tighter with every word. He's escalating, he says when she finishes. Trying to isolate you, take away your income. Classic abuser tactics. He paces her tiny studio. I should have killed him when I had the chance. Nathaniel. I'm serious. He's not going to stop until he's destroyed your life, or you come back to him. Those are the only outcomes he'll accept. Nathaniel stops pacing, faces her. Let me handle this. Permanently. You said you wouldn't kill him. I said I wouldn't kill him unless I had no choice. We're approaching that point. Faye stands, crosses to him, takes his face in her hands, and makes him look at her. No killing, she says firmly. There has to be another way. He's going to keep coming after you. Then we'll keep fighting him. Together. She kisses him before she can second-guess herself. It's their first real kiss. The others have been for show, for audiences. This one is just for them. Nathaniel makes a sound low in his throat and pulls her closer. His mouth is cool and careful, and Faye melts into him. When they finally break apart, she's breathing hard and his eyes are definitely glowing. Faye, he says, and her name in his mouth sounds like a prayer. Stay, she whispers. Tonight. Just stay, he does. They don't sleep together. Not like that. But they lie in her narrow bed. Nathaniel's cool body wrapped around hers, and Faye feels safer than she has in months. Maybe years. I have an idea, Nathaniel says into the darkness. About Brett. What kind of idea? The legal kind. The kind that doesn't involve murder but achieves the same goal. I'm listening. We sue him for harassment, for stalking, for filing false complaints. We drag every nasty thing he's ever done into the light and make sure everyone knows what he is. Nathaniel's hand finds hers, threads their fingers together, and we do it publicly. No quiet settlements. We make him a cautionary tale. That would cost a fortune in legal fees. Good thing you're married to a vampire with a fortune to spend. He presses a kiss to her temple. Let me do this for you. Let me protect you the right way. Faye thinks about it. About Brett's face when he realizes he can't touch her. About the satisfaction of watching him squirm under the weight of his own actions. Okay, she says. Let's do it. The lawsuit hits Brett like a truck. Nathaniel's lawyers, and he has an entire firm of them, file a case so comprehensive and devastating that it makes the news. They document every instance of harassment, every threatening message, every time Brett showed up at Faye's workplace. They include testimony from Maria and other co-workers. They even dig up 2 previous ex-girlfriends who have similar stories. The hearing is set for 3 weeks out. In the meantime, a restraining order keeps Brett at least 500 feet away from Faye at all times. The diner calls and asks if she wants her job back. She says no. Nathaniel has already offered her a position at one of his companies, something in event management that pays 3 times what she made as a waitress. She starts Monday. Helena throws a party in her honor. June gives her a bracelet that matches the ring. Genevieve commissions a portrait of her and Nathaniel together, insisting it will hang in the gallery. Faye's life transforms so completely that sometimes she has to stop and catch her breath. The night before the hearing, Nathaniel takes her to dinner at the same restaurant where they met Helena. They're in the middle of dessert when Faye's phone buzzes. It's a text from an unknown number. "You think you've won? You think your vampire husband scares me? I'll destroy you both." Faye shows it to Nathaniel. His expression goes absolutely flat. "He violated the restraining order by contacting you," he says quietly. "That's a criminal offense. Should we tell someone?" "Oh, we will, right after I make sure he understands exactly what he's done. Nathaniel, you promised." "I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to give him a choice." Nathaniel stands, offering her his hand. "Trust me?" She does. They leave the restaurant and drive to Brett's apartment building. Nathaniel parks on the street, and they wait. Brett comes out 20 minutes later, fumbling with his keys. He's drunk. Faye can see it in the way he moves. Nathaniel gets out of the car, and Faye follows. "Brett Morrison," Nathaniel calls. Brett turns. When he sees them, his face contorts with rage. "You," he snarls. "This is all your fault. I lost my job because of you." "Everyone thinks I'm a monster because of you." "You are a monster," Faye says. Her voice is steady. "You stalked me. You threatened me. You tried to ruin my life because I wouldn't come back to you. You belonged to me. We were together for 2 years and you just threw it away. I never belonged to you." Faye steps forward and Nathaniel's hand comes to rest on her shoulder, grounding her, supporting her. "I was never yours. And now everyone knows what you really are." Brett's face goes purple. He lunges forward and Nathaniel moves. It happens so fast Faye almost doesn't see it. One moment Brett is charging them, the next he's on the ground with Nathaniel's hand around his throat. Nathaniel isn't squeezing, just holding him there, pinned. "Listen very carefully," Nathaniel says, and his voice has gone cold, empty. "You have a choice. You can appear at the hearing tomorrow, confess to everything, and accept the consequences. Or you can disappear. Leave the city. Leave the state. Change your name, and never come back." "Fuck you!" Nathaniel's hand tightens fractionally. Brett's words cut off with a choke. "I'm not done. If you choose to stay and fight, I will make it my personal mission to destroy everything you have left. Your reputation, your career, every relationship you've ever had. I have 300 years of experience ruining people, Brett. I'm very good at it." He leans closer. "But if you disappear, I'll leave you alone. You'll be free. Just never come near Faye again." He releases Brett, who scrambles backward, coughing. "Think about it," Nathaniel says pleasantly. "You have until tomorrow morning." They walk back to the car, leaving Brett gasping on the sidewalk. Faye's hands are shaking. "Did you mean that?" she asks. "About destroying everything he has?" "Every word." "And if he chooses to disappear?" "Then I'll have someone keep tabs on him, make sure he stays gone." Nathaniel glances at her. "You're angry with me." "No, I'm—" Faye searches for the word. "I'm grateful, relieved, overwhelmed." She laughs shakily. "You're terrifying sometimes, you know that? Only to people who threaten those I care about." He takes her hand, brings it to his lips. "For you, I'm whatever you need me to be." Brett doesn't show up to the hearing. His lawyer files a withdrawal, citing personal reasons. By the end of the week, there are rumors he's moved to California. The case is dismissed as moot, but the evidence is already public record. Everyone who Googles Brett Morrison will find it, will know what he did. Faye feels like she can breathe for the first time in months. "It's over," she tells Nathaniel that night. They're at his place, a penthouse that still makes her slightly dizzy, curled up on a couch that costs more than her old rent. He's really gone. He's gone, and he won't be back. So, the arrangement— Faye looks at the ring on her finger. "We don't need it anymore." Nathaniel is quiet for a long moment. "No," he says finally. "We don't." "Oh." "Faye." He turns to face her fully. "We don't need the arrangement. But I'd like to keep the marriage, the real version, if you're willing." Her heart stops. "What?" I told you I was courting you. I meant it. These past few weeks with you have been the happiest I've had in decades. You make me laugh. You challenge me. You see me as strange instead of scary, and you wear my mother's ring like it was made for you. He cups her face. I'm 367 years old, and I've never wanted anyone the way I want you. So, marry me. Really marry me. Be my wife in every way that matters. Faye can't breathe, can't think. That's insane. Yes, you keep saying that. Do you want to stop? She thinks about the past few weeks, about Nathaniel showing up at her work with coffee, about June's stories and Helena's parties, and the way Nathaniel looks at her like she's precious, about the ring on her finger that means protection and family and belonging. No, she whispers. I don't want to stop. Then say yes. We barely know each other. I know you take your coffee with too much sugar. I know you cry at sad movies, but pretend you don't. I know you're terrified of failure, but brave enough to ask strangers for help. I know you make terrible jokes when you're nervous, and you bite your lip when you're thinking. He kisses her softly. I know enough. The rest we'll learn together. This is crazy. The best things are. He pulls back just enough to meet her eyes. Marry me, Faye. Really marry me. She looks at this impossible man with his silver eyes and cool skin and 300 years of life. At the ring that's somehow become a part of her. At the life he's offering. Strange and complicated and absolutely nothing like she planned. Yes, Faye says. Yes, I'll marry you. Nathaniel's smile is brilliant. He kisses her properly then, deep and thorough, and Faye loses herself in the feel of him, in the promise of everything they're going to be. They get married, really married, 2 months later in a small ceremony with just June and Helena and Genevieve and a handful of others. Faye wears a dress Nathaniel picked out, white silk that flows like water, and she walks down the aisle to meet her vampire husband who's already wearing his best smile. I promise to be strange with you, he says during the vows. I promise to challenge you, Faye responds. I promise to protect you. I promise to let you. They exchange rings. Hers stays the same. His is new, a match to her own. When the officiant declares them married, Nathaniel kisses her like he's been waiting centuries for this moment. Maybe he has. 6 months later, Faye and Nathaniel host a dinner party at their penthouse. Helena and June are there, along with Genevieve and Thomas and a dozen others from their strange vampire-human community. Maria from the diner comes too, eyes wide at the apartment and the company. This is your life now? Maria whispers to Faye in the kitchen. Vampire royalty and penthouse dinners? Apparently. Faye looks through the doorway to where Nathaniel is holding court, telling some story that has June laughing. It's weird, right? It's amazing. You're happy. Yeah, I really am. The doorbell rings. Faye goes to answer it and finds a messenger with a package. Inside is a painting, the portrait Genevieve commissioned. It shows Faye and Nathaniel dancing, her in the blue silk dress from their first dinner, him in his perfect suit. But it's the way they're looking at each other that takes Faye's breath away. Like the rest of the world has disappeared. We really look like that? She asks when Nathaniel comes to stand beside her. We really do. He wraps his arms around her waist. Do you regret it? Any of it? Faye thinks about that night in the gallery, about grabbing a stranger's sleeve and whispering please, about the ring that appeared on her finger and changed everything. Not for a second, she says, and she means it, because sometimes the strangest beginnings lead to the most extraordinary endings. Sometimes a desperate plea in a gallery leads to a vampire's ring on your finger, to a real marriage, to a life you never imagined but can't imagine living without. Sometimes you grab a stranger's sleeve and find your future, and sometimes, if you're very, very lucky, that stranger becomes your husband, your partner, your home. Faye Graves, formerly nobody, now wife to a vampire king, looks at her reflection in the painting and smiles. She's exactly where she's supposed to be.